Hi, my name is Crystal, and welcome to the Existence Project. In today's video, I wanted to contribute to a super duper relevant conversation. I'm so glad I cannot remember the name of the lady that I saw, like her original TikTok, but there's a new YouTuber that I've started following. Her name is Virgin Bougie, and she's done a lot of content about hospice care wives, nurses with a purse, and some conversation about hospice care kids. So I wanted to chime in and really contribute to the dialogue about hospice care children. Um, and I feel like just based on my understanding and like some of the research that I've done, it's just going to be a bit more relevant towards um, women. So, hi. Anywho, so I wanted to like go ahead, self-identify myself. Like I am a hospice care kid, and I wanted to provide some background on my own personal situation, and then I also wanted to empower someone that was in a situation, because I think a lot of times it is really easy to have strong opinions about situations that we're not in. I do not mean that as a dig. I do it too. I think it's just like human nature. I'm going to scoot back and I'm on a rocking chair, so don't be annoyed. But yeah, I think it's just human nature to have really strong opinions about everything. And then when you are in the situation, then your opinion gets tested. So I am hoping to provide camaraderie to those women who, um, I guess, are like myself, um, and yeah, just to provide some camaraderie, I think is kind of like my main purpose. And then overall, I love so much of the conversation about being a woman online. And I would love for, as we are creating our spaces and we're talking in our spaces, to allow to like, not saying that this is not happening, but I'm saying like I think it's really important to kind of like allow people that are not falling within like the dominant narrative to, provide their own stories and experiences, etc. So with all that being said, that was this really huge introduction to say that I'm 34 years old. Um, my father had me when he was 31 and my mom was 26. And then my parents split up when I was really young, and my father has been an absent father ever since. Um, I will say that over the years, we have reconnected. So like there was like huge distance in absentia when I was a bit younger, and and I feel like I have tried to re-engage with him several times in my adult life. Um, and I think when I um, first tried to re-engage with him, I was in my 20s. Yeah, I was in my 20s, and that was kind of a disaster, because looking back on that, I think at that point in my life, I was like reliving some of like the father wound that I had at the time with him, and still not getting that compassion and that fatherly whatever that I needed, that fatherly balance, I guess, that I needed from him. But now I'm like years in therapy. So this story starts in December 15th, 2021, which was his birthday, so last year, and it kind of comes all the way to this year, but I'm not going to tell the whole story for the sake of brevity, and I have recorded this already, and the camera didn't focus at all, so it's my second take. Um, so let's see. So December 15th of 2021, he fell ill. I think another thing that happens when you're not close to a parent is that you are not close to that side of the family either. So I my uncle called me, he's my dad's brother, around his birthday, and he was like, "Hey, happy new year, merry Christmas, have you talked to your dad?" And through that conversation, my uncle called me from Nigeria, by the way, and through that conversation I learned that my father was ill. I immediately panicked. I knew that no one will tell you this over the phone, and I did feel at the time like, okay, I'm gonna have to go see this for myself. But I did not know how much time I had with him. And there is a panic there. And I think looking back on it, um, I think hospice care, kid or not, if you are in this situation and your your emotion, your soul, whatever like makes a strong decision, I don't think you should beat yourself over it because someone was really bad to you. Obviously, mileage varies. I'm talking about myself. Um, and so I rushed. I had to do a 20-hour road trip because at that point in time, my passport was going to expire, blah, 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 blah. And at that point in time, only two passport offices were open in the entire country, one in Buffalo, New York, and then another in El Paso. And believe it or not, if I flew to El Paso, even though I live in Houston, but if I flew to El Paso, my ticket to El Paso was more expensive than my ticket to Nigeria. 2021 was a crazy time. But anyway, so I did a 20-hour road trip. Yeah, it's like 10 hours one way and then 10 hours the other. I did a 20-hour road trip. Who knows how long? I don't know. It's all a blur. And I come to Nigeria, and I think on the plane to Nigeria, I knew my life was going to change. I didn't know how, but I knew that it was going to change. And then I came to see my dad, and it is I think that it's like I would have more resentment as a hospice care wife because that feels a bit more targeted versus as a hospice care kid. I do think you have way more leeway into the relationship and the ability to put up boundaries and all that other stuff, you know. But I will say that to the extent, and I didn't have this emotion in me at the time, but I have had it since. But to the extent that I was really angry at my father and I wanted him to like suffer on his own and to pay for his own deeds, or I just wanted to be like, hey, like, you know, this is where you are. As a human being, I think it's really hard to see another human that looks to be a day away from the last day of their life and to be like, I'm not gonna sit by your side and keep you company. And that was a decision I made. And boy, when I tell you that I am reflecting on it, I've been in therapy for years before this. So I think that has really helped me come up with my own internal guidance system. Um, but I went through it, and I think that what was really, really hard for me, maybe like the lesson learned in Q1 2022 was that I I'm here for selfish reasons as well. I think my original thought or approach to it was like, oh, I'm so caring and I'm going to be by my father and just really martyring myself. And then one day it just dawned on me that I'm here for selfish reasons as well. I think this is the last time that I'm going to be able to get answers. And perhaps I should engage in that way. And I'm glad that I've done that. I and it's such a long story that I have to kind of like organize my thoughts to talk about like my own experiences more. But I think by acknowledging that I do have power in this situation, I'm not a helpless child, and that I believe that like when you forgive someone, you free yourself as well. And I almost think that like it is more energy for me to withhold affection from a sick person than it is to not give it to them, you know? And I also, I think being Nigerian helps as well, even though there's always this like teeter totter between being like Nigerian and American. But I do believe that there's just a natural order of life. And that even I govern that that is more of a guiding light in my life than a lot of other ideologies, I guess. And I think that there's a natural order where the a younger generation takes care of the older generation, and in in the acceptance of that of that assignment, you become a better older person. And I also believe in reincarnation as well. um and so it was really important to me, and it's been interesting because I never really existed on the internet where the manosphere was. I still feel like it's really like, I don't know, just low vibrational, and I don't find it interesting. And so like somehow I have found that part of the internet, and I find it, and I think so in that world that there are some really strong hell no's, you know. But I also don't think that like never in life has a older man had a second wife, or you know, done a second stint with like a younger wife, and she took care of him and he took care of her and he changed. And I know that that's like such a Cinderella story, and I'm not saying that it doesn't happen all the time, but I'm just saying that if you are a hospice care kid, um, and I believe that people are intelligent, so I have all those caveats. But if you are a hospice care kid, I do think that like it is up to you. You only get one parent. I think it's really easy to have an opinion on something when you're not going through it. And I don't know. I guess for me, it has given me a certain level of closure. And something that I wanted to, I think would be important to share is that, like, don't go into it thinking, because I think I went into it thinking, like, okay, like sickness changes you. Like, if you had looked at death in the face, if I, you know, I feel like if I had like almost lost my life, I'd probably be apologizing to people. Shit. Let me turn that off. Y'all, that light burnt out. That light burnt out. Okay, I'm sorry it's dark. My one light here just blew up. That's scary. Oh my gosh. It stinks too. But anyway, so I'm gonna wrap up really quickly and say that I think if you do opt to take care of your parent, I think that it's more of a conversation about boundaries than barricades. I think that also as adults, we have a lot more autonomy than we did as children. And so I think that coming into this as an adult and not reliving childhood trauma and having way more control has been so refreshing. And in some and it's not that I don't like relapse to that, or like this, you know, it's not like a straight path or a straight road. But I think in some ways, even going through all of the motions have given me a lot of perspective. And I think that there's also something else that doesn't come up a lot, and it is that, you know, through my dad being ill and seeing him grapple with his mortality. And I really think, I mean, not even I really think, like, people think that they are immortal. He for sure thought he was immortal. And so seeing him grapple with his mortality has really given me like purpose and understanding that when I get older, I don't want to have a whole bunch of regrets. Um, I don't want to have regrets about things that I never tried. I don't want to have regrets about dreams that I never embarked on. And I don't want to have like regrets on how offense that I received made me behave. And and I think that mm, I don't know what like overall conclusion is here. I'm just hoping that someone who is in a similar situation um, finds a sense of camaraderie, you know, and goes through the videos. And when I have seen the videos, I think it's a lot of people like telling someone else's story. So maybe like, oh, this is, and I've watched a lot of videos, you know, and I think some people are like, well, this is my coworker etc. And I believe that it also, I'm sure that there are women that are recanting their own stories as well. But I do think that if you are a kid that grew up like I did, a bit neglected by the parent that's currently sick, and you have the ability to extend humanity to the parent without over without sacrificing yourself, um, I just ask you to consider that as an option as well. And if you are going to navigate the waters, just think about how you're going to navigate them safely. Like, how much money are you going to put in the game? How much time, how much compassion, how much, whatever. And, um, and I always, and, I try to think about stuff. Sometimes I'm faced with a hard decision. When I'm 50 years old, what would I like to have done? Because I think sometimes we're in the moment, but then sometimes when you kind of stretch it a bit further out, you, you just have different experiences. Um, yeah. And so that's really it. And I don't know if I said this earlier, but I just wanted to say that, being with my father, and we don't get along like that. We get along, but then we don't, and then we have our own thing, and I'm more than happy to talk about that later, but I don't want to edit. So um but I think it's like I can't remember how it goes, but it's something about caring for the least amongst you. And I think that caring for someone who has wronged you, um, when they are ill, and I think everyone gets ill at a certain point in time, it it is a that is a circle of life. It's a very rich moment, and it's a part of the human experience, and it molds you and changes you in so many ways, in so profound ways, if you're open. And I I'm still going through it, and I continue to go through it. I don't know, I don't even know how long I'm going to be going through it more, but it's just really helped me. It's really helped me grapple with my own existence and my own life and my own humanity. Um, because, and I don't know if I've said this already, but like, I have very little regrets, but I really don't want to like regret things, you know, and I don't mean like taking care of my dad. I mean, just there's something in how he lived his life that I feel like his old age is an accumulation of his mistakes. And I believe in cause and effect and polarity. And I really think that by um, sacrificing my ego and making this choice for myself and constantly retooling it to be as authentic as it can in the moment has really taught me how, like, a lot of grander questions about life that I don't know if I would have even had if it was before this. And through it, I learned to advocate for myself and to um, it's weird, right? Because like your parents are supposed to be like the leaders in the relationship that you have with them. But really like getting in touch with how I lead and and what I need out of this, right? Because I don't know, I probably should have written stuff down. But I just wanted to contribute that. And so if you find yourself in a similar situation, I really hope that this conversation helps you. I think you should do whatever you want to do. Um, and I think a lot of people make the case very, very well. You know what I mean? But hadn't really heard my perspective yet, and I wanted to contribute to the conversation in that way. So yeah, if you made it to the end, thank you so much. Please engage with this video. I think this is a really heavy topic, so I would love to hear other people's experience. And you know what I would really like to hear? Because I don't think that this happens enough. I would like to hear men that were deadbeat dads, and and not in a way where like you're talking about the mother of your children, because there are other places for that. But like men that were deadbeat dads, have you ever had a child that you abandoned show up for you in the way that no one else had? And how did you reconcile with the child? Were you able to extend an apology, or have you just kind of like withheld it and felt like that's what a kid should do? And then for children in my position, if you have either way, like whatever advice that you have to give me, I'm definitely open, but I'm looking to like talk and engage, and it's all good. It's all cool. My light blew out. Y'all saw that. So that's for the big old shadow. It's really dark here, but if you made it to the end, thank you so much.